What separates good leaders from great ones? I believe it's the ability to turn visions into reality. Today, we'll uncover the goal-setting strategies that will empower you to lead with confidence and clarity. Join us as we chart the course to exceptional leadership.
The home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
Welcome to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. So today we're going to talk about goals and goal setting. And so as I was thinking about this, I was kind of going through the process of, obviously it's getting towards the end of 2023 at the time of this recording. So now's the time of year when people really start thinking about what their goals are, what their plans are. And so I really wanted to kind of unwrap a little bit and talk about, kind of the process that I use, and hopefully it's something that will be very helpful to you that you can implement in your life and roll with it. So here's what it is. So before we jump into it, I want to give you a quote. And I do not know who wrote this quote. I tried to look it up, and there are several people that got credit for it. So I'm going to give no one credit for it because I don't really know. But a goal without a plan is just a wish. That's it. When I was growing up playing baseball, I remember my coach used to tell me to wish in one hand and do something else in the other and let me know which fills up fastest. And really, that's kind of the same thing of a goal, right? A goal that has a strategy and a plan is a really impactful thing that you can implement versus, hey, I wish I could do whatever. So being that it's the end of the year, currently I'm working on my vision and my goal setting for 2024. And so as I was doing this, I thought, man, this might be a really cool and helpful. And also, selfishly, I wanted to talk about it because I need a reminder so that as I'm getting ready for the next year, and again, this is not something you have to do based on New Year's or any of that kind of thing, because we all know what happens, right? You make your New Year's resolution, and I don't know what the date is, but it's basically by the middle of February, 80% of people have fallen off, and all that kind of good stuff. And I think that the reason that most people fall off when it comes to goals is because they don't have a plan and a strategy. So this is what we're going to talk about today, is we're going to talk about how to have a plan, how to have a strategy, and how to kind of execute what it is that you want for a goal. So for me, what I use is a term called SMART goals. And SMART is just an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So to me, I think this is a really impactful tool that I've used. Honestly, I've used this for probably almost 10 years now. I think it's a great framework. It really helps you design, set clear, obtainable objectives with a goal line, with a timeline at the end. So that's what I want to talk about today, is a little bit of breakdown on what that looks like. So specific. So the very first S in SMART goals is specific. So the goal should be clear and very, very specific as to what you're trying to do. So I'm going to give you a vague goal, and then I'm going to give you an example of a SMART goal. So a vague goal, let's say in the plumbing and AC company, get more clients for our HVAC service. Okay, that's very vague. Where a SMART goal, you want to be very specific in what your goal is. Because obviously a vague goal, what does that even look like? What does a win look like when you talk about get more clients for our AC services? I don't even know. So how about this for a SMART goal? Acquire 10 new commercial HVAC maintenance contracts in the downtown district by the end of the quarter. That seems way more specific, right? So you can put a deadline on that, and you can know if you hit that. Here's another example of a specific one, and this is, since we're getting in the first of the year, this is kind of what's in a lot of people's New Year's resolution goal sheet is lose more weight or lose weight. And the truth is that's just not specific enough. There's no win to it. There's no accountability built in for you to even know if you won or if you lost. So where a better goal would be, hey, by December 31st, 2024, I want to lose 15 pounds. And by doing that, each quarter, I'm going to lose X amount of pounds. So you get it. It needs to be a very specific goal. It doesn't need to be vague, very specific. Think about the sports analogy. Their goals are to win. And when their goal is to win, it's very specific. There's a number. You either win or you lose. That's why they keep a scoreboard, right? So make sure you keep that goal very, very specific. The next one, the M in SMART, is measurable. So let's take and define what measurable looks like. Like, what does making progress even look like? So again, a vague goal would be improve my business. Well, that's great. That doesn't really give us a whole lot of information. Versus if you really break down what a SMART goal looks like, you would say when it comes to measurable, something like increase customer satisfaction ratings in our plumbing service by March 31st, 2020. How about this? A measurable goal is I want to add $1 million to our top line revenue by December 31st, 2024. There's a specific measurable very measurable action. You can put it on the board and you can track your progress throughout the year. Next in our acronym is going to be achievable. So you have to have something that is realistic and attainable for it to be a realistic goal. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're just going to get burned out or you're going to feel the defeat. And that's not to say, so it's not to say you can't push yourself. Push yourself, but let's be realistic. So for instance, if we talk about the example of weight loss, I want to lose 10 pounds tomorrow. Without chopping off your arm, that may be very difficult in order to do. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, where if you're like, hey, it's going to be 10 pounds in 30 days, yes, that's a tough goal, but I'm breaking it down to where if I lose, I don't know, X amount of ounces a day, I should be able to achieve that goal. So the unrealistic goal from the personal standpoint could be that, or double the business revenue in a month. Okay, well, there might be some ways you can do that if you have a big contract coming up, but that's not going to be a set up goal. Where a SMART goal is going to be increase business revenue by, 20% over the next quarter through upselling additional indoor air quality services to existing customers. So you're going, okay, I'm going to increase by X amount of percentage, and I really want to do it through existing customers. And then you're breaking down how you're going to achieve that goal. And maybe it's outbounding, maybe it's mailers, maybe it's whatever it is. So achievable. Make sure that whatever goal you have, you're setting it up to where it's achievable, and it has a realistic time allotted in order to, because you want to win. Everybody wants to win. And if you're making your goals, again, I'm not saying make them easy, but make sure that if you're setting up your goals for you, that they are achievable. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. You don't want to set anybody up for failure. You really don't want to set yourself up for failure. So just remember that to make it achievable and attainable when you're creating your SMART goals. So next, we're going to jump into relevant. And relevant is really about ensuring that your goal, it matters to you and that it aligns with your other relevant goals. So a good example would be if you're going to launch let's say you're in the plumbing industry and you're going to start offering plumbing services in California markets within a year, but you're in, let's call it Navarre, Florida. Is that really relevant to what's going on with your business right now? No, we're not going to be in California next year, but it is right. But it is a goal, because if that aligned with what we were doing, that would make sense. We're not. So if any of my team is listening to this, I promise we're not going to California this year. But a SMART goal would be reach and identify a new region. Maybe you're going to move into a county or two next to you, or maybe you're going to add a service to your business and it aligns with all your goals. That would be a relevant goal. So next we have time bound. So the T in SMART goal is time bound. And honestly, every goal needs a target date. You have to have a deadline to focus on. You have to have that, or else what ends up happening is it will never come to fruition. Or if it does, honestly, it's kind of like the wish example that we used before, it just kind of happens versus having a deadline. There's a law out there called Parkinson's law, and the point of it is a project or a job will take as long as you allot it to take. Meaning, if you don't put a deadline on it, if you put a deadline on it of 30 days, there's a good chance you're going to hit that goal within 30 days. If you don't put a deadline on it, there's a good chance, one, it's not ever going to happen, or two, if it does, it's going to take significantly longer than what it is. You need deadlines, right? Can you imagine if you sent technicians on a big job, let's say it's a plumbing repipe or an HVAC unit installation, and you didn't give them any kind of time-bound goal? How long do you think that would take? So again, an example of an open-ended goal would be, I want to be the best HVAC provider. That would be pretty open. Versus, I want to be the top HVAC service provider in my market in the next 12 months. That is time-bound. So that's a way for you to put a deadline on it and know exactly what you want to get done and by when. So there's a little bit of a breakdown on what the SMART goal stands for. Again, it is specific, measurable, achievable or attainable, relevant, and it's time-bound. All right, so now that you have the format and the layout of the SMART goal, now let's talk a little bit more about the why. So why is goal setting so important, really to you and your team? So it offers direction and clarity, which, let's be honest, we all want a little direction and clarity. And so for you, it gives you a roadmap on what your day, week, and month is going to look like, and a little bit of clarity towards that. The other thing is it's going to really give you and your team motivation and engagement. So obviously, if you have a personal goal that you're not sharing with your entire team, that's not going to affect your entire team. But as a leader, if you have a goal that you share with your team, that gets to be good motivation and engagement. If you're doing some goal setting that you personally, man, that should give you some motivation and engagement for yourself in order to get after whatever that goal is, because there's a reason that you set that goal. So that should be a little motivation for you to keep driving and keep doing the things. Even when it's hard, you still want to keep driving. Another why or benefit is going to be performance measurement. So in order to measure what you're doing on a regular basis, right? So the old adage of what gets measured gets managed, this really falls in nicely with this whole concept, because now you're going to have a measurement tool for you. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, that's one of the toughest things we have to do is when we're kind of self-managing. Sometimes it's easy to lose accountability, and some of that performance measurement is a good guide for that. So it allows you to stay on track. It allows you to measure your performance as well as your team. So once you learn these things, you're going to want to teach it to your team. You're going to want them to start implementing goal setting if they don't already. And then for you, it gives you a little bit of a tool to help them with progress and measure and make sure that the things are going in the direction that they're supposed to go. And next is going to be the alignment. So you have to make sure that everything is aligned. So again, if it's a personal goal, you need to make sure it aligns with some of your bigger goals and your values. And then from a business standpoint, you also want to make sure that it aligns with all the goals and values that you have as a company as well. So let's jump a little bit into the how-to. So again, we've talked about the SMART goal, what it is. We've talked about the why. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the how to get this thing going. So, I mean, for me, I would highly encourage you to start doing the things to implement this in your goal setting. Not to be completely cliche, but it's the end of the year. I'm sure we're all going to be setting goals in order to achieve them in the coming year. So just use this as a tool. Use the SMART goals. Because it will help you kind of get all the things aligned. So the first thing is you're going to write it down. Super easy. You're going to start documenting what your goals are. So as you're writing them down, really what you're doing is you're kind of putting it out into more of an actionable item. So if your goal is to grow your business by 30%, this will be kind of where you'll start to brainstorm a little bit on what that high level objective would look like. Next thing is going to be break it down. So break it down into smaller chunks. As the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Large goals can get really, really overwhelming. And so if you have this high level goal, and I'm going to stick with 30% growth, you're going 30% growth in my business, then that's very overwhelming. So you want to break that down into smaller, a little bit more manageable, actionable items, because anytime you have a pretty good sized goal, there should be some chunks to it. It shouldn't be one thing. There should be a lot of different line items that happen in order for that to break it down. So that's what you're doing. You're breaking it down. The next thing is going to be when you set your deadlines. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but you're going to set your deadlines and into these actionable timelines that allows you to hit your goal. I will tell you, for me personally, typically my goals are generally line up with quarterly. And the reason I do that is because I have found it's very discouraging. Like I play to win. And if I have a goal and I don't hit it, I don't love that. And I take that personal, even if it is my goal. So for me, by setting goals on a quarterly basis versus monthly basis, what it does is it allows me a little bit of personal grace. Things come up, life happens, the business, the babies, the wife, the family, the whatever, the injuries, it doesn't matter what it is, but there's always things that come up. And so as you're setting your goals, you got to remember that 100% of your time probably is not going to be spent on these goals, right? 100% of the time is not going to be spent on the goals. So give yourself a little bit of grace. So just for me personally, I do it by the quarter just so I have a good time to ramp up, right? So if I fall behind, I have a good action plan in order to catch up. And then the next thing is going to be to review these things regularly. So as you go out and you've got your goals and you've got all this stuff laid out and you're ready to attack and crush it, now you have a way to go in and check in. Again, think about the scoreboard. Think about, how do teams know when they're winning? They look at the scoreboard. The score doesn't just show up at the end. It's chunked down into innings, quarters, whatever hockey is. I don't even know, but you get my point. It's broken down into smaller chunks. So then at the end, you know who the winner is. You don't win by winning one quarter or 1 month. You win by the entire thing. So giving yourself a way to regularly review your goals is going to be a way for you to achieve them. And honestly, here's the thing. The SMART goals, and again, I said this earlier, but this is something I've done personally in my life for probably the better part of 10 years. It makes goal setting fun to me. It makes it fun, and it allows me to dream big, but kind of keep myself in check a little bit. Because now when I'm sitting down, and I still use the worksheet, so I still have a worksheet that I use that I have created. And by the way, if anybody would like a copy of the goal sheet that I use and that I have, you can email me. My email is justin@justindeese.com. If you shoot me an email, I'll be happy to email you a copy so for you to use. But so goal setting is an amazing tool, but one of the things is it's a mindset. Right? Goal setting is really a mindset exercise that then leads into these other wins. But at the end of the day, it's a mindset issue. If you have SMART goals and you have goals that you're going after and you're trying to achieve, your mindset shifts. You're going to wake up a little bit different. You're going to think a little bit different. You're going to look at things a little different. You're going to look at objectives a little bit different. So just keep in mind that, yes, goal setting, I know that a lot of people talk about it and beat the drum of goal setting, but when you do it and you do it correctly and you have a plan, because that's really what the entire SMART goal is about, taking a plan and breaking it down, it gives you this really cool way in order to think about achieving these plans and these goals. So that is a lot. I know that I fire hosed you, but this is really a topic I like talking about. And sometimes I get bogged down on, do I want to go into this topic? And again, I'm currently working on my goals. Well, I'm constantly working on, but right now I'm like in this phase of life where there's a lot of things that have changed and I'm starting to refocus my goals. And actually what I'll probably do is I'll probably go through the sheet and share it with everybody. And obviously I would encourage you to do the same. So I would encourage everybody start today. Draft a goal using the SMART framework, whether you have the worksheet or you don't. Again, email me. I'll send you the worksheet, but you can write down on a piece of paper, and really watch how it can transform your approach, your leadership skills, your home life. Like just it can change everything in your entire world if you just start thinking goals first. So now I'm going to set a challenge out to each and every one of you that are listening right now. So I want you to take a moment today, not tomorrow, and unless you're driving today. And obviously if you're driving, let's not do this, but today, sit down and just jot down one SMART goal, like one thing that you think would make a significant impact on either your life or your business. And use the tools that we just talked about today. So be specific, make it measurable, ensure it's achievable, make sure it aligns with your core like personal or business values, and then set a deadline to it. Just sit down, set a deadline, make sure it works. And once you've done that, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about your plan. I'd love to hear about your journey. And I would love to hear if you've achieved it. And if you did or did not, I would love to know all of those things. So please share it with us on social media, Freedom Blueprint Podcast. If you aren't ready to share it with the world, but you want an accountability partner, then you can reach out to me directly. Again, you can email me at justin@justindeese.com. So there you go. We've talked a lot about goal setting and SMART goals and the why and the how and all the things. So as we wrap up, I want to kind of just leave you with this. The true power of goals lies in the execution. So use these tools, go out and execute. And listen, if you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast, leave a review, and share with a fellow leader who could benefit from mastering the art of SMART goals. Until then, keep setting those SMART goals and watch your business and leadership transform. This is Justin Deese signing off from the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Stay motivated, stay goal setting, and as always, keep crushing it.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.